Welcome back, everybody. I'm Chandler.
And I'm Celeste.
And this is
True North Terror. Welcome back. Before I start, I'm reading a lot again. I've read I think 13 books this year.
Holy shit.
Never been a reader until recently. I need some book recs though from the listeners because I've read quite a few. I have quite a few on my list too, but I just finished, if anyone's looking for some good books, I just finished Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. Probably actually maybe my least favorite that I've read so far this year. But I've also read My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney, the Butcher and Blackbird series by Bryn Weaver. I read the second Butcher book by Elena Urquhart. The Only One Left by Riley Sager, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, We're All Guilty Here, and Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. So if you enjoyed any of those books and you have a rec for me, then let me know because I need some new books to read.
Jesus. Sorry. Lexa just texted me. Of course, me looking for Epsom salts to take a bath so that my hip doesn't hurt so bad turns into rearranging the bottom of the sink in the extra bathroom and our bathroom. She fell getting in my truck today.
Just wanted to take a nice bath.
I feel so bad, but it was pretty funny. There's a handprint on the side of my chair. She's like,
oh no.
I was looking at her. And she was standing to get in, and she was doof. Like, oh fuck! So I got up, but she got up pretty quick. But yeah, she's hurting.
She bounced.
But she's
she
alright.
bounced back.
She's a tough cookie.
Poor Lexi.
She's tough. Yeah, that was she was. She's lucky she was wearing my work pants.
Oh, so she has some cushion.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
poor thing.
She was literally just dressed like me today. She was cosplaying Chandler. It's pretty funny.
Oh gosh, that's pretty funny. Okay, well, we have a serial killer episode today.
Ooh.
Recommended by my friend Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie. She is a fantastic dog trainer, and I adore her. So I'm excited that I finally get to cover this for her because when we started the pod, she sent it to me and she was like, you need to look at this one. And they have the same last name. She's like, we're not related. It's like, okay, thanks for clarifying. But today we're talking about Thomas Donald Bruce McArthur, aka Bruce McArthur.
Sorry, that's 4 names?
Mm-hmm.
Technically 5?
No, 4.
If you count Mick?
No, it's McArthur.
Yeah, but if you count Mick...
It's 4 names.
McArthur?
Sure.
4 names. 4 names.
He's gonna
serial
be crazy.
Killer.
Yeah. Agreed. Yes, 100%.
And sorry, Thomas
Donald Bruce McArthur.
That's 3 first names, man.
Well,
who were your parents?
Not the best, but
they suck. They set you up for failure.
R.I.P. to them. Anyways, Brucey was born on October 8th, 1951 in Lindsay, Ontario, and was raised... Are you okay?
Lindsay, Ontario.
And was raised on a farm in Argyll. He was born to parents Malcolm and... It says Islay. Islay.
Isla?
No, there's a Y at the end. So I'm going with Islay. Like Islay.
What the fuck?
Islay was born an Irish Catholic, and Malcolm was a Scottish Presbyterian, which led to religious tension in the household.
Yeah.
He had 1 sister, but his family also fostered many troubled children, making his already tense home life very chaotic. Bruce grew up feeling immense pressure from his dad's expectations in a very strict and religious environment. He attended Fenelon Falls Secondary School in the Kawartha Lakes region. Some classmates later reflected that he didn't seem to fit in, but was always super friendly. It was at school that he met Janice Campbell. They started dating and both graduated in 1970, later getting married when he was 23. He graduated from a program in general business and started working for Eaton's department store in downtown Toronto as a buyer's assistant in 1973. He left that position in 1978 and switched to a career as a traveling salesman for McGregor Socks. Can
Oh,
you imagine being a traveling salesman for socks?
this guy's a snake oil
He's
salesman.
wild.
That's
Wild.
wild.
You can sell anything.
Yeah.
What do people say? You can sell water to a fish?
Sell snow to a snowman.
Yeah, if you can sell socks as a traveling salesman, you can sell
That's
anything.
impressive.
Pitching to department stores to carry their products. Between the transition of jobs, his dad Malcolm was diagnosed with a brain tumor and sent to a nursing home for palliative care. Him and his dad grew really close during this time because he felt his mother abandoned them for another man.
Oh,
His mother ended up dying from cancer in 1978, and his father died in 1981. In 1979, Bruce and Janice moved into a house in Oshawa. In 1981, they welcomed their first child together, a daughter named Melanie, followed by a son, Todd. I
Todd?
just realized
Oh my
Melanie and
god.
Todd.
That's crazy.
That is so creepy. Kate,
Ew.
for anyone that literally doesn't know us, we have an Uncle Todd and Auntie Melanie, and they're married.
That's so weird.
That's so
That's so weird. They're not siblings though.
No, I'm creeped out though. That's fucking crazy.
Did you not realize that when you were writing it?
No,
That's wild.
that's
That's
crazy.
so wild.
In 1986, the family moved into a new home on Cartreff Avenue in Oshawa. Bruce became an active member in his church, trying to keep himself busy to distract himself from his confusion of being interested in men.
Oh,
In the early 90s, Bruce started to have casual relationships with men, confirming the feelings he was always trying to avoid. He came out as gay to Janice, and she was actually very supportive, and they decided to remain living together. But sometime in 1993, he lost his job. Already facing financial hardship, they were enraged to discover their teenage son Todd was being prosecuted for making obscene phone calls to women. They faced more financial trouble as they aided him in paying for a lawyer. In 97, the financial troubles caught up to them, leading them to mortgage their home and ultimately declare bankruptcy in 1999. After remortgaging their home, Bruce separated from Janice and moved to Toronto, hoping to find a larger and more welcome community than Oshawa. Um, sorry. Hoping to find a larger and more welcoming community than Oshawa offered for gay men. He was a regular at popular bars within Toronto's gay village and church in Wellesley, and moved into an apartment and maintained a 4-year-long relationship with another man.
wow.
Church in Wellesley is an LGBTQ oriented enclave in Toronto. It is home to the annual Toronto Pride celebrations and has community centers, parks, bars, restaurants, and stores that cater to the community. The area is also home to the AIDS and trans memorials. At the time that his divorce was finalized, his relationship with the man also came to an end.
Hmm.
Bruce saw a psychiatrist and was given Prozac to help with his depression. Around this time, he also decided to pursue a completely new career as a landscaper.
That's a change.
Yeah.
Salesman to pencil pusher? Or no, pencil pusher to
It's like,
landscaper?
what?
That's a change.
It's like, what do you think a landscaper is?
I meant the other way. That's my bad.
In the afternoon of October 31st, 2001, Halloween, Bruce followed Mark Henderson into his apartment after being invited inside to see his Halloween costume.
Ooh.
Mark was a model and actor and acquaintance of Bruce's. Once they were in the apartment, Bruce hit Mark several times with an iron pipe as Mark furiously fought back before eventually losing consciousness.
Jesus.
When Mark came to, he called 911 and was taken to St. Michael's Hospital, where he received several stitches on the back of his head and fingers and also required 6 weeks of physiotherapy. For some reason, Bruce turned himself into police for the attack, but claimed to not remember it. He pled guilty to charges of assault with a weapon and assault causing bodily harm. And on April 11th, 2003, he was sentenced to 729 days of a conditional sentence after receiving psychiatric reports that determined Bruce was at a low risk to reoffend. So he ultimately did 1 year of house arrest, then 6 months of curfew, and 3 years of probation.
Jesus.
During this pre sentencing reports, it was noted that the possible reason for the attack was that Bruce had taken his anti seizure medication alongside a muscle relaxant. And I guess that, like, caused him to have an adverse reaction of wanting to murder someone with a pipe.
Sorry, the way you said that was really
Well,
fucked up.
it's just like, how, okay. Um,
Is that on the box? Is that,
I
is that on the back of the box?
guess, apparently,
You might want to murder someone with a pipe. That's
if you take these
fucked.
drugs together. During his sentence, he was banned from the church in Wellesley area, with the exception of work and medical appointments, and also received a protection order instructing him to stay 10 meters from Mark's home and workplace. He also was not allowed to spend any time with male sex workers, could not possess firearms for 10 years, and could not purchase, possess, or consume any drugs without a prescription, specifically the methyl relaxant amyl nitrate. So basically, they were like, okay, this actually does not work for you. You can't use this anymore.
Good.
He was also required to submit his DNA to forensic databases and was strongly encouraged to attend psychological and psychiatric counseling as well as anger management. In 2002, in the middle of the assault case, Bruce made a profile for Recon. Recon is a gay fetish dating website for men into BDSM. In his profile, he mentioned that he was interested in submissive men. He also was on several other dating websites. In 2011, he joined Facebook and would noticeably post outings at local gay bars with younger men, specifically of South Asian or Middle Eastern men on Facebook. By the late 2000s, Bruce had reconnected to the gay community in Toronto and was living in an apartment about 5 kilometers northeast of Church and Wellesley. Despite his reestablishment into the community, his 2001 assault was still well known, and he was starting to have a reputation among the community for rough sex and BDSM. In 2011, he was kicked out of a coffee house after having a random violent outburst. Bruce's landscaping business, Artistic Designs, gained traction and kept him busy. Most of his clients were elderly women who thought he was charming. He quickly built a large client base based on recommendations. Bruce seemed to always have a younger male employee of Southeast Asian or Middle Eastern descent, and would often be with an older man who he seemed to have a romantic relationship with. During his off season in winter, he would volunteer at the mall as Santa
This is feeling very gacy.
and made floral arrangements for local charities.
This doesn't it
Yeah.
seem very gacy?
Yeah, just like upstanding citizen.
Well,
Other
like
than like the
worker with a young guy.
In 2014, his son Todd served 14 months in jail for making more obscene phone calls and
Come
was
on, Todd.
released on bail, but one of the conditions was he had to live with his dad and assist in the landscaping business. A friend of Todd's went to visit and commented on the interesting decor in Bruce's bathroom. The bathroom walls were decorated with photos of East Indian men. Bruce said they were all his friends and was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, those are all my friends. It's all good. Just like laughed it off. On June 26, 2017, one day after Pride Toronto, friends of 49-year-old Andrew Kinsman started to worry about him. His friend from the building, his friend Robin from the building, that was weird how I worded that. Anyways, his friend Robin lived with him in the same building. Noticed that Andrew didn't return after he said he was meeting friends for coffee. 2 days later, Robin couldn't ignore Andrew's absence any longer and got in touch with another one of their friends named Tom. One of them had a key to Andrew's place and decided it would be worthwhile checking his place, but nothing seemed to be missing or out of the ordinary, except for a satchel that Andrew took everywhere. They also noticed that Andrew's cat was there and didn't have any food or water.
Oh,
This is when the alarm bells really started to go off. He would never leave his cat uncared for. Robin and Tom reported Andrew missing to the Toronto police and immediately started to plaster posters all over the area and formed a search party. Friends called the media to get the story out to as many people as possible, and friends were calling the police over and over and over again. The police started to conduct their own investigation, checking hospitals, shelters, and morgues. They looked into the basics, such as finances and banking records, as well as phone records, but found absolutely zero activity since he went missing. They also interviewed several friends trying to understand who Andrew was. They wanted to know his routine and patterns, as well as if he had any concerning behavior or mental health history. Andrew did have some past struggles with depression, but he was reportedly in a very good headspace, according to his friends, and they didn't have any concerns around that. As the police continued to investigate, they realized that another man had disappeared only a couple of months earlier from the area, 44-year-old Salim Essen. Other than Andrew and Salim both being gay, they also frequently frequented the same bars and areas. They didn't really have any other similarities. Salim was struggling with unemployment and drug use. He had just found housing when he went missing and was reportedly working on recovery. Since he was pretty much transient when him and his suitcase went missing, it was assumed that he just left Toronto in search of something different, or maybe he checked into a recovery program, but no one ever heard from him again. The gay community started connecting a string of missing men together going back as far as 2010 when 43-year-old Skanda Navatram was the first to go missing in September 2010. In December, another man, 44-year-old Abdul Basir Fassi, went missing. Then, in 2012, 50-year-old Majid Khan went missing. All three men were around the same age, build, and also were all Middle Eastern or South Asian. In 2012, the police realized that these missing men might be all connected. This led them to launching Project Houston. Project Houston began after the Toronto police received a tip from Interpol that another the missing man Skanda might not actually be missing at all and had actually been murdered.
Oh boy.
The suspect for this case was 60-ish-year-old James Brunton. He was a married man that coached hockey but was known to frequent the village. While investigating Skanda's case, they decided to look at other missing persons, which is how Basir and Hamid's cases were added to the docket at Project Houston. Once the files were compiled into one space, they started to see the trend that members of the village had been talking about already for years. In the end, the police don't find enough evidence that James had killed Skanda or was involved in the other missing persons, but decided to investigate them together. However, that didn't last long. With nothing to work on, no proof of any crimes, the police had to move on to new cases. In the summer of 2017, community members held an open town hall meeting where hundreds of members of the village got together and decided to make real noise about the likelihood of a serial killer in their community. This was enough pressure for the police to start a new task force called Project Prism in the summer of 2017. Despite this being a single task force, the police still aren't completely convinced that the missing men are all connected, so they did mostly investigate them individually. While investigating Andrew's case, police are reminded by Robin that the last time she saw him, he was on his way to coffee with a friend. Police searched Andrew's apartment again for clues on who this could be and discovered a calendar that was used diligently. On June 26th, he had a reminder to pay his phone, as well as a single name and time, Bruce 2/3, which was approximately the last time he was last seen. So the police started filtering through Bruce's known areas and combing through security footage where they discovered a red van driving up to the building Andrew lived in, stops for a moment, that pulls away, but the van is barely visible as it is just captured at the top of the screen, so they can't see if anyone gets in or out. Then they find another view where Andrew does hop into the red van. Unfortunately, there isn't a very good view of the van, so they aren't able to get a license plate, but they can tell that it is an older model red Dodge Caravan. Unfortunately, over 6,100 of these vans are registered in the province of Ontario,
Fuck.
so they start searching for the name Bruce in this huge pile of names. They're finally able to narrow it down to 5 possibilities, but only one of those possibilities registered the exact 20th anniversary edition caravan, Bruce McArthur. This name catches the attention of the detective that was on Project Houston's attention. They had actually previously questioned him and the Andrew disappearance. He had previously been questioned in Sconda's case as well when they discovered an email chain during a search belonging to Bruce, aka silverfox51 at hotmail.com.
Oh, come on now, buddy.
They also found the same email on a notepad at Basir's home. They decided to follow this lead and track the IP address for Silverfox51, which led them to Bruce, which is when he came in for questioning, but as a witness, not a suspect, on November 11th, 2013. He admitted that he did know Sconda, but they never had a sexual relationship, and that they both frequented a bar in the village called Black Eagle. But he had no idea why his email was at Basir's place on the notepad, claiming he didn't know him at all. Police realized that in 2013, when Bruce was questioned, he had also admitted to having a sexual relationship to Hamid, and that he was also working for his landscaping business. So basically, he's connected to all these men.
Holy shit.
Then they find out that Bruce sold his red van. This led them to calling around auto body and junkyards, assuming he probably sold it for parts.
Yep.
Finally, they got a hit in early October. The owner of the lot said that he did indeed buy the van from Bruce, and it was still on site.
Woo.
Police officers rush over to find the tires and license plate had already been removed, but immediately noticed a dried liquid covering the inside of the tailgate that was being swarmed by flies.
Ugh.
The
No.
police bring the van back to Toronto for forensic testing, and on November 8th, the results are back. Testing positive for Andrew Kinsman's blood. There isn't enough blood to immediately suspect that Andrew was murdered, but it is enough for the police to start heavy surveillance on Bruce. The next step in their plan is to search Bruce's apartment, but they don't want Bruce to know, so they wait for both him and his roommate to be out of the place before starting their search. The plan is to find any physical evidence that can link Bruce and Andrew. They also want to make a clone of his computer. When officers arrive, they quickly get to work, branching off in areas of the apartment, searching closets, drawers, cupboards, under beds, and everywhere they can think of. They swab an orange stain on Bruce's pillowcase, take photos of a 9-inch metal bar that is wrapped in tapes and piles of notes with usernames and passwords. Only an hour into the search, the surveillance team informs them that Bruce is on his way home early and is arriving in only 10 minutes.
Oh, fuck. Get
But
out.
the clone on the computer isn't even close to done. Even leaving it down to the wire, they're only able to clone about 50% of the files. Police start sorting through the data collected from the computer, which includes tons of photos of men. Finally, they see a familiar face, Andrew Kinsman. They click again, Ganda. Again, Basir. And again, Hamid.
No way.
Another click, and another victim. The next day happens to be the Toronto Police's year-end conference. The community started questioning the police on where they were at Project Prism, and they did have a statement prepared, but not one that you would expect. They said there is no evidence at this time in which any way establishes that the disappearances of Salim, Andrew are linked to the males for the Project Houston investigation. There is no evidence to support that the disappearances of Salim or Andrew are linked. There is no evidence of foul play. There is no evidence that a serial killer is responsible for the disappearance of any of the missing males. So, obviously,
I think they're
that's
just
false.
playing it close to the chest.
False, but they're like, we need to keep everything that we already have very close to the chest. We don't want to tip off Bruce.
Yeah. Keep the
And
cards close.
yeah, exactly. But like everyone is pissed. They're like, what do you mean you have nothing?
Yeah.
So the community was pissed, but behind closed doors, things were happening. In January of 2018, they started going through the deleted files on the cloned copy of Bruce's computer. And this is where they finally got the evidence they needed. In the deleted files, they find more photos of men. This time they see Salim, who has now been missing for 8 months. But this photo is much more explicit and incriminating. It shows Salim laying on Bruce's bed, very clearly dead.
Oh, fuck.
They continue to search the deleted files and find a photo of Andrew dead in the back of the red van. There are many more photos, but of men they don't even recognize at all, dead. While they continue to search the horrifying files, they receive a call from the surveillance team informing them that Bruce has just returned to his apartment with another man who happens to look a lot like all the other men Bruce has already killed.
Oh
So he's
boy.
got a potential new
Yeah.
victim back at his apartment.
Shit.
So officers sped to the apartment for an urgent arrest, knowing that if they arrive a minute too late, Bruce might claim his next victim. Just after 10 a.m., they arrive at Bruce's apartment and rush up to the 19th floor. Instead of busting through Kool-Aid Man style, they knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Bruce answers, and officers rush past him and find the man that Bruce brought back to the apartment tied to the bed with his mouth taped shut.
Holy fuck.
They free the man and handcuff Bruce, placing him under arrest for the murders of Andrew and Salim. They do another search of the apartment, this time without a time limit, and find a bag of duct tape, rope, zip ties, syringes, medical gloves, bungee cords, and Skanda's jewelry, as well as Salim's notebook.
Wow.
Bruce is interrogated for about 10 hours, remaining calm and polite, but not forthcoming. He admits nothing, doesn't disclose the location of the bodies. Knowing that Bruce is a landscaper, the police know that he has basically unlimited access to countless properties where he could dig holes without raising anyone's eyebrows.
Yeah.
They take a look at his client list and focus on one property where Bruce spent a lot of his time and even stored his tools: 53 Mallory Crescent. Police bring cadaver dogs to the property where the dogs instantly alert to large planters, but they're frozen solid, so they have to load them up and bring them to their forensics lab where they can thaw and x-ray them. During the x-ray, they discover a human rib cage and then the remains of 7 victims.
7
Yeah.
in a planter?
In several planters.
Okay. I'm like, in one?
This leads to more charges for Bruce, and he is formally charged with the murders of Hamid and Sush, who was a 50-year-old man living in Scarborough, as well as Dean, who was a homeless man living in Toronto. Sush was reported missing by his wife on April 22nd, 2015, about a week after he went missing. Dean had not been reported missing as he was homeless. He earned money by panhandling and sex work on Church Street. In February, police added Skanda's murder to the charges, and then in April, they added Basir's. Only a few days after Basir's murder charges were laid, they added an 8th murder charge for a man named Krishna. He was a Sri Lanka refugee that came illegally in 2010 on a cargo ship arriving in Vancouver. He was only days away from being deported in January of 2016 when he fled to Toronto hoping to not be found. Krishna's remains were one of the 7 discovered.
Wow.
Police know that this could just be the tip of the iceberg. So in May, they sent cadaver dogs out to all of Bruce's client properties but came up empty. In July, they returned to their home on Mallory, where they discovered the large planters of remains and finally Hamid's body in a garbage pail towards the back of the property. By the end of the searches, the police determined that they had recovered all of Bruce's victims. At 67 years old, Bruce pled guilty to all of the charges, leaving no trial necessary. But this left a lot of questions. How did Bruce get 8 bodies down 19 flights of stairs?
Yeah, holy shit.
How did his roommate not suspect anything? How did he murder these men? It is known for sure that he tied these men to his bed, sexually assaulted them, killed them, and then dismembered them. The Crown asked for a life sentence and 50 years before he was eligible for parole, but the judge determined he can serve all of the time concurrently, meaning he is eligible for parole in 25 years, but he's 67 at this time, so. Retired Ontario Court of Appeal Justice Gloria Epstein was hired to do an independent review on how the missing men's cases were handled. She called her report Missing and Missed, containing over 1,000 pages and had 151 recommendations for the Toronto police.
Hmm.
The recommendations were mostly for how they could better build relationships with the communities. Bruce was actively murdering men from 2010 to 2017 when he claimed at least 8 lives, but his victims did not stop there. Many of his clients spoke out about how he violated their trust, literally letting a killer into their homes. Friends and families of the victims were left with an emptiness in their lives and hearts, and Bruce's own family were victims too. He was a father and a grandfather, hiding in plain sight.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just mall Santa. Like, okay. But
You never know.
taking advantage of like very vulnerable people, because a lot of them are immigrants that were
Yeah,
just looking for
they're
jobs.
yeah.
And he's probably like, I've got a great job for you. Just like your case, or just like,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's it's just gross. It's
That
just
is
gross.
super gross, man.
Yeah. And really
Oh.
sad, because like he literally had an entire family. And I can't imagine finding out that like your grandpa or your dad was a serial
Yeah,
killer.
holy shit.
Yeah,
That would be something.
horrific. Or that your kid was sitting on Mall Santa's lap and he was a serial killer.
Ew.
Mall Santas are creepy already, but like that just puts a whole new taste in
That's
my
a
mouth
whole
about it.
new bad bow.
Yeah.
Not good. You. Yuck.
Well, it's that. That's Brucey.
3 first names and a last name to boot.
Yeah, if you got 4 names, you crazy.
No offense,
We're
but
looking at you, Owen. He
holy
doesn't
shit.
listen.
Oh, jeez. Well, stay spooky, True Northers.
Terror is closer than you think. Thank you for joining us for another episode of True North Terror. If you like our podcast, please help us grow by leaving a rating and review. If you have a story you want us to hear, or your own personal story you want to hear on the pod as a listener story, email us at truenorthterrorpod@gmail.com. Join us next week for another episode of True North Terror.